this. Okay, I'm going to tell you something else that I've learned over doing open houses. So I got to tell you this. I also like to hone my skills, because when I take buyers out, I purposely go into open houses too to see how agents do it. And I almost come out laughing at how much better they could be. I don't want to cut anybody down, but they've got a long way to go. Here's what generally happens when I walk into someone else's open house, which is a lot of people will tell you this is what you got to do. And I'm telling you my experience, dead wrong. And that is, you come in, you have a sign-up sheet. And the script goes something like this. Hi, welcome to the open house. I'm coming in here and signing a sign-in sheet because the owners would like to know, walking through their house and who's been in their house, and just please put your information down there. So when I went to like 2 years ago, I did. I put Mickey Mouse, my phone number is 555-555-5555 at noemail.com. And it was me and my buyers were in there. And I let them look at that. I said I was an agent because I want to see how they're going to work me and see what they're going to say. They asked for a card, they asked who I was with, did it help with anything? Nothing. So I'm like, okay, we went through the end. That bit of information was completely useless, because here's the reality. People are going to lie. People are not going to give you their information. If you say, hey, would you sign this up? Most people are not going to do it. And then when they do, they don't remember you anyway. So here's how you got to learn over time to go about doing this. First of all, you're going to get here through practice. If you're thinking in your mind, like in any script, you check these boxes off, make sure I ask it this way, then it's not going to flow, and you're going to come across as somebody who's just trying to sell it. So the first thing that happens when somebody walks in, and I will preface this also with one other thing, is my daughter, who's also a real estate agent, we'll do it together, because I would advise any doctor by herself, don't do them alone. So even if you have to have somebody who's not an agent sit in the house with you or whatever, I would do that, because safety is first. The creepers in there. But I remember looking at, if I was a woman, that person would have scared me. As a guy, I'm half scared, but so that's just one piece of advice. So when somebody comes in, the first thing I do is I get up and I greet them. Hi, how are you? How's it going today? If it's a beautiful day, I'm like, man, I know why you're out here today. You're enjoying this beautiful weather, just blowing with a small thought. If it's raining, it brings you out on an ugly day like this. You must really want to buy a house and come out in this rain. And most people are like, you're going to get one of two types. You're going to get the type that's like, you can see with personality, they're going to engage or they're going to stand off. So what I'm trying to do is, for people who understand the DISC, D-I-S-C, what I want to do is I want to ascertain which one of these personality types are. Are you a D, an I, an S, or a C? Because you're going to handle each one differently, and that's a class for another time. But generally, with the beginners, I can kind of get a read for what kind of personality they have. So then what I say, this is my line. And I say, so what brings you out this way? You might have, somebody says, oh, I'm the next door neighbor. I live 2 doors down. I'm not interested in buying. My answer is like, great. I'm glad you're here. Because here's what we're trying to achieve. In days like this, we want to know what you think of this house, because your house is 2 doors down. How does your house compare to this house? How is the kitchen? Is it updated like yours? Bathroom? Does it have the same wainscoting trim? Whatever. Because ultimately, my responsibility to the seller is, and I tell them this, is I give, I think, very, very good, excellent feedback. Because the seller, what I tell them when I'm doing an open house is like, they say, you'd like to sell your house? Yes, we would love to sell your house in an open house. Will that happen? Probably not. So every agent that says, well, why do an open house? Because you're not going to sell the house at the open house. My answer is, yeah, you'd like to do that, but that's not going to happen. But what I tell the sellers, I said, look, what we need to know is information, because information is power. And so what we need to know is, I know what I think. I'm an agent. I see these all the time, so I'm seeing it through an agent's eyes. You're a homeowner. You have an emotional attachment to this. So let's be honest, you're seeing it through rose-colored glasses. What we really need is people to come in with an unbiased opinion. What better people than would be the nosy neighbors? Because Gladys next door is the one who's going to come and say, oh my God, really? This floor is, you should see my floor much better. Really, Gladys, what do your floors look like? Well, this is this laminate plank vinyl. Mine are real hardwoods. And like, oh, okay, good to know. Or, wow, you guys have trim. Do you know this was built by Joe Blow Builder, and they never did any of this trim on the rest, and you were the only ones with this trim. Well, that's good things to know. So when they come in, I get that. I say, Miss Nosy Neighbor, what I'd like to do is just please walk through the house. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. The only thing I would ask you, though, is before you leave, could you give me one or two things you really liked about this house that stood out to you, and maybe one or two things you didn't like, even if it's like something they couldn't change. But if you could wave a magic wand and say, hey, I would make the backyard bigger, or hey, I would have put the master upstairs. Just give me one or two things. And when you ask that to people, most people will do it. So I carry a little bitty red notebook, and it's always in my back pocket. So when people are coming on me out, like a nosy neighbor, you have one or two things. And I'll tell you what, this is the funniest thing. A lot of people will sit and wait for you. Because when they say, yes, I'll tell it to you, I've actually had people when you're busy will wait and say, hey, I know I told you I'd tell you. And now here's the two things I like, here's the two things I didn't like. Great. So now here's the advantage. By the time all these people have gone through these 3 to 5, I can come back. At least 2 or 3 have given me feedback of 2 to 4 items, 2 items on each side. So I can give that seller, I can say my feedback. I can say, okay, you got 8 responses. Of the 8 responses, here's what they liked about it. They like the open floor plan, they like the open kitchen, they like the location, and they would like that square foot, whatever it is. Here's the 8 that said, here's what they didn't like. And I always preface it by saying, you're always going to get some crazy ones out there, so don't take it personal. I remember one house I went, it was so immaculate, I was like, you could have ate off that floor, literally. And the very first person to come in is like, I don't know why somebody would want to show their house when it's in this dirty of a condition. I actually said, really? Seriously? Like specifically, like, what would you have cleaned differently? God's honest truth. They walked over to the blind and said, you see this dust right here? Why do they have dust that? I said, my thoughts exactly how did somebody walk out the house and leave that? Thank you for telling me that. I'll let them know that. So again, I tell my sellers, like, look, you're going to get some idiots. You're going to get some crazy people out there. But here's what I'm saying. If you see a pattern developing, this is what I tell them. Like, for instance, I'm a dog person. So I can walk in the house and say, ooh, there's one. I'm like, really? I couldn't tell that. So I might miss it. But if you have 2 or 3 people that cite pet odor, hey, this would be something I would want to tell you. 3 out of 8 people said pet odor. I don't know, maybe let's get the carpets cleaned, or let's try to remediate that, or whatever. If, let's say, 4 out of 8 people say, this carpet it's got stains, it's nasty, it's all this. You know, as agents all day long, we can tell the sellers, hey, we need to get this fixed. Like, oh no, we'll just give a $2,000 allowance. You know, I tell them is like, okay, that's fine, we can do that. But here's what happens. We have people coming in, just like these 4 people did. They walk in, what's the first thing they do? They go in and they look at the carpets. And they're staring at the carpets. And they're like, Mary, look at the carpet. My God. And then as an agent, tries to say, yeah, but look at the rest of the house. I'm like, yeah, it looks nice, but look at the carpet. Okay, let's walk through the rest of the house, and let's see what the rest of the carpet looks like. So you're overcoming an objective. So at this point, great feedback, because you say, hey, this carpet really look bad. My suggestion is take that $2,000 allowance and go replace that carpet. That's just me. Talk to your agent. So then you get the nosy neighbors. Then you get the I always like to say the mother-in-law, because my mother-in-law, actually, when she comes to visit us, she actually wants to go to open houses. She lives out of state, and she wants to go to open houses and look at people's houses because she knows. And I hope she's not listening to this telecast, or I'm going to be apologizing forever. Nobody tell her I said that. But she will go to an open house, doesn't even live in the state, doesn't have to care about it, but she will tell them everything about that house. And she will, well, my house back in Illinois, it looks like this and this and this. That is actually good, because somebody who's experienced, because she does that so much, she actually can have some really good opinions. So again, like, I'll write that down, and that's the extent of it. Then you're going to get the third buyer. It's going to be the one that comes in, and this is where I think a lot of less experienced agents make a mistake. I'm going to tell you, it does work. The buyer comes in, say, hey, how you doing? Take your time, look through here. If you see anything in here, any questions, let me know. Give me 2 things you like, 2 things you don't like. Great. So I say, now, do you have an agent? Like, you've been looking for a while. We're going to kind of go into motivation. Yes, we're looking. We're moving from the north side of town, north into downtown. Great. Are you renting now, or are you buying? You know why we're asking that question. So let's just assume it's we're renting, so I don't have to go down there yet. Okay, great. What time for look at It's not for 5 or 6 months. Oh, okay, so you still got a while. You have anybody out there helping you? Oh, yeah, we have an agent. Okay, next line, ready? Write this down. What's the agent's name? You're going to get 1 or 2 responses. You're either going to be like, it was Joe, honey, what's his name? Joe or Jerry or John or you began with a J. Yeah, I know that. Oh, okay. Who's with? I don't know. He was with some big company. I remember I saw a business card one time. I think it had a balloon on it. Oh, like a Remax balloon? I don't know. It was just a big balloon. Oh, okay. So here I go. I kind of laugh right there. Must not be working real closely with it if you don't even know the name or the company. Oh, no, we just met him once, and, he said, yeah, if you ever need anything, just give me a call. Great. So everyone out there who says, once they tell you got representation, my next line, have you signed anything with them? Have you fire agency agreement, signed it? No, I don't think we signed anything. Here's my next line. I'd like to say, good, because here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to have an opportunity to earn your business, because if you want to work with me, I'll show you what I can do to help you find properties. And one thing I'd be pretty sure of, you won't forget my name. So if you want, I'd like to have an opportunity to earn your business. So take your look around, see what you want to see, ask your questions, give me your 2 and your 2. And then what I'm now is now, if I'm juggling people, I walk away from looky-loosey, nosy neighbors, and I'm kind of following at a distance and let them go. Let them go through. So here's now I'm going to tell you what I learned in my own personality. I'm a guy. So if there's a single woman that walks in, one of the things, body language is real important, so give distance. Because people are going to look at a guy, and they're going to make judgment calls. We look at people and make judgments based on the way they look all the time. So you have to understand, they're looking at me like they're unsafe, like they think they could be an axe murderer, which still blows me away, but I just get people looking and say, oh, this guy freaks me out, at which point they give more distance. Some people will make eye contact with you. You can see them warming up a little bit, but I always try to stay 6, 7 feet apart if it's a woman. Guy, almost different. If he's with his wife or girlfriend, or whether he's by himself, I will actually try to get closer because there's a little bit more sense of intimacy, like I really want to get to know you. And I will try to make, oh man, that was a great point. Hit him on the shoulder or something like that, because it's a sense of connecting through there. So body language is important, and positioning. So going along that line, when somebody's walking through, and again, you got to be real careful. You're dealing with a man or a woman. But if the exit is coming out here, I almost always lead them into the kitchen. This kitchen is where everybody wants to be. There's usually one. So I usually condition myself, and I mimic their body language. They're standing like this, and I'm standing in the doorway. They're standing with my hands in the pocket. I'm standing with my hands in the pocket, rocking back and forth if they're rocking back and forth. Or I lean up against the wall like that. And to purposely do that because it engages them. You're actually not allowing them an easy exit. If you're standing there like this and somebody walks past you, that's enough of a subtle, rude gesture. You'd be like, hey, I'm going to just let you go with it. That's fine, too. But most people then will be engaging because you're standing there. So, but again, if you're a guy and you're a woman, be very careful. You've got to be able to pick up on you. Start to go through that box you're in, and then you got to move back around. Make sure there's an exit. So I've learned that. And again, being with my daughter, she's kind of told me some of these things too, help me out. So now you have that semi-represented maybe agent. So somebody said, well, if it's yes, I deal with John Doe over at Century 1. He's a friend of the family. I'm like, great. Then, if we're slow, I still don't give up. I'll be like, so tell me, what kind of houses are you looking for? How long you been in? How long have you known Joe? I like working with Joe, et cetera, because I'm just making conversation going from there. The fourth and ideal one is to come in, had this happen, and I'll tell a quick story then, because yep, you're still doing okay on time. Well, where it was with my daughter, never had happened before, but we were in an open house, and because it was a $225,000 or $250,000 price point, and we ended up getting like 6, 7. So she was off at one, I was off at another, and come back, and I said, hey, I got something exciting to tell you. So, see, I got something exciting to tell you. I said, no, I got something really exciting. I got some people that are unrepresented. They want to put an offer. Man, you've seen the look on her face. She's like, oh my God. I just said, unrepresented buyers, they're going to put an offer. I said, are you kidding me? Picking that up? It's like, no, we actually had 2 unrepresented buyers. We actually got into a bidding war, and it was really awkward around the dinner table that night because we're trying to outguess who's going to bid the other one. So I'm not even going to tell you how it ended. But I will tell you this, $50,000 in earnest money will sway a lot of sellers. And I'll just leave it at that. So now let me get into how I'm going to get the information. So here's what we're doing. So I've engaged in conversation. I said, when you move? Moving in 6 months. So they say, okay, go into motivation, go into that. What do you like about the house? Let's say they say, well, I don't know if I really like this house. It might be a little bit too big. It might be a little bit more priced, a little higher than what I want to do. So here's the other thing. The only thing I bring into an open house is a laptop. This is all I bring in. Now, I'm not going to try to open it up so everybody can see it. So I'm going to explain. You got to follow with me. And this is the same at every single open house. What I do is I go into the MLS. I call up, I do a CMA for that subdivision, and I do the sales in our market. In the last 30 days, you're usually going to get a good mix of products. So I have that tab open with the CMA, and it's coming soon, active, under contract, no show, and close. There it is. Then the next tab is the MLS sheet of the house. I'm going to try it. Maybe. So I always the same way. The very far right tab is the MLS sheet of the house. The next tab to the left of that is the CMA. The next tab, so when somebody comes in and says, yeah, I don't really like this house because it's a little too small, it's a little too expensive. I said, so you're looking for something a little bit cheaper, maybe with a bigger yard? Well, there's another house that's for sale in here. I just happen to have it pulled up. Would you like to take a look at it? Most people are like, yeah, let me see it. I click that tab. Let's compare and contrast. This house, it's 2 blocks over. It's for sale at this price point, this specific yard. Here's what it looked like. And they say, well, I don't know about that yard. I say, okay, I will have, in this case, there was only one other house for sale. I would have another house open. So I'm calling it right up. And then if they like this house, they're generally going to ask a tax-oriented question. So the final tab to the very left is the realist tax, and it's open. So if they say, where is the property line, a little red drawing at the bottom, at whatever question had to be at that. Because here's what I say is, inevitably people will say, oh, I like that. Do you have like a flyer or something I could take with you? And then I just make my standard corny joke. Oh my gosh, no, we live in Charlotte. We're all liberals here. We're tree huggers. We don't believe in, killing the trees, so we don't believe in paper, so we're all sophisticated in internet. But what I'd be glad to do is right now I can email this over to you if you like. If you like, you can have this flyer, or you can have the CMA, or you can have this realist tax form. Would you like that? And then I'm nodding my head yes. And then they're like, yeah, sure, I'd love that. Okay, great. So let's do this. Come over here. Let me get your name. Again, you told me earlier, but I already forgot it because I'm trying to figure out what kind of personality. So John Doe, this is your email address. Okay, great. They already told me they rented. So they rented in some whatever city. So I didn't really care about their home address because I know they're leaving. I don't have a chance of selling it. And that's just me. I'm not going to worry about that part of it. Phone number. So let me get your phone number. And the reason I'm going to get your phone number is because I'm going to send you a text right now so you know who I am. So when you see my number, it's going to come up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, when you leave here, I'm going to send you a text. And that's going to be the one first touch I'm going to do with them. And I do that sometime that day. If it's on a Saturday, it'll be that Saturday night. It could be on a Sunday. If it's Sunday, it'll definitely be Sunday night. So the second thing I'm going to do is I say, so if you like this information, I'm going to email this over to you. And so the other thing I'm going to do, if you didn't like this house, and they said, maybe they'd like this other house, then they would say, hey, my last open house is at 7 o'clock tonight. If it's early, I'd say, are you available later tonight? We set something up tomorrow. This other house. And if they say yes or no, you kind of go from there. If they say, oh, I'm busy, okay, how about Monday? Would you like to listen to this house? I can schedule on Monday. We'll go through there. Oh, yeah, it's I need a schedule appointment or whatever. And then that's how you can get them in there. So the other thing is then what I say to them is, I'm going to send you a text. So I got 4 pieces of information. And it'd be really nice if they did own a home, because then you talk about when you're going to list it, if you've got anybody, whatever. So then follow up with the text. Then on Monday, I will always send out a thank you card. I will also then follow up with an email with the information I told them I was going to get. Like, let's say I said I was going to send the CMA out. So I sent the CMA out. I'm going to follow up with an email, something pertinent to what their cause is. And then on usually, by the time they got the thank you card, it's usually Tuesday, Wednesday. So on Thursday, I'm calling them on the phone. So here's the most important thing. 4 pieces of information, and you want to touch them 4 times. You're going to text them either that day, the next day, if it's on a Sunday, you could do it then, or I could do it then. Monday, I'm going to send out a thank you card. I'm going to email them, and by Thursday, maybe Wednesday, depending on where they're at, I'm going to follow up with a phone call. I've actually had people say, one lady said, Mike, I got to tell you what, you must really want our business because everything you said you were going to do, you did. And I said, well, here's what is my spiel is when you go into real estate. I would say, there's a lot of real estate agents out there that I feel like to cut the corner. We're all nice people. If you don't succeed in this business, you're not a nice person. Mean people don't tend to be good salespeople. They said, however, what you're looking for is somebody you can connect to, somebody who you see as professional, who feels going to do exactly what you do. And all I'm asking is an opportunity to earn your business, and let me show you what I can do. And if you're not happy with it, then you don't have to follow through. So if you do that, if you try to get the 4 pieces of information, if you follow up with the 4 touches, and then after that, if they're kind of ghosting you or going south, I'm a big believer in the database management system we use before, and I have an open house campaign that 8 touches over the next 2 months. I just put click, open house campaign, and honestly, kind of forget about them. And then when the last thing goes out, the last touch is an email that says, it's been a long time since I haven't heard from you, something like that. I don't remember how it goes. If you're interested, let me know. It lets me know. And then a week after that, and send a text that says, hey, I sent you out a number of emails, a number of texts. Something must have come up and I've been trying to contact you. I haven't heard from you. If you do still want to work with me, please feel free to call me. If not, then that's fine too. So I think I covered everything. I don't know if y'all have any questions out there. Anybody in here have any questions that I could answer?
What is how easy is it to do your KV Core campaign? So if they set that up, is it already pre-populated in your KV Core, or do you have to create that?
There are open house campaigns that you can take that are pre-made in there. And way back whenever I set it up back, and I don't remember when that was, I remember taking the template and I modified some of it because I didn't like the way some of it was worded. But you can modify whatever the touch is and then save it, and then it'll send it out automatically. So basically, you don't have to do that.
What about, of course, I'm going to ask you some more questions. Don't want you to get you off the hook that easy. Do you bring anything, and I know you bring your computer only, and maybe you've touched base on it, I apologize if not, but do you bring information if they don't like that house? Do you have anything set up for them to look at other subdivisions?
Yeah, so again, what I did is I had that next tab open. So let's say, I said, hey, do you like this house? Would you like this? Is this something that interests you? Someone asked me one time too, but if they have something they like to see, if there's another subdivision, they might say, well, I don't like these models. Then I would just go into, okay, talk to me a little bit more. And again, this is why it's got to flow. Because if you're trying to check off points off the list, talking points, you're going to miss it. But if you're flowing with them, and they're like, well, and one client comes to mind is they seem to be picking little things out. I said, have you ever thought about new construction? And they're like, oh, for new construction. Well, you'd be surprised because at $300,000 price point, we can find a lot of new construction. So I think the issues that we're having here might be easily more overcome if we took a look at new construction. So you got to kind of, again, engage once you get them to flow. And that's why I do open houses, because I don't do well on the phone. I like to see somebody. I like to see what their body language is, see if they're engaging. And then I can kind of read from there. I can't pick up personality type very easily on the phone. But if you're a hard driver and you come in there, and I love those people, it's like, I need to sell my house. I need to get it sold. I'm going to buy a house. You want to be my agent? You're going to cut your commission to 5%? I give you the deal. If not, I'm going to him. I'm like, got this guy. If you watch, I'm gonna get this guy at 6%. I love that guy. High eyes. I love high eyes because they're engaging. I'm more of a quiet introvert, believe it or not. So it's real hard for me to engage people. Don't engage back. So those S's really can't make up their mind. I think we're gonna sell, honey. You know we want to. It's got to be just the right house, but we don't have to. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. We don't make eye contact. We're just trying to decide what we're going to eat for dinner tonight. We'll just, you know, if the stars come into alignment, the moon is in the 7th house, then we probably go buy it. Seeds, I love seeds. Man, I love seeds because they're the ones that's, well, Mike, I like this house, but when was the last survey done? And, you know, does it really go to that pole? Because it looks to me like there's a tree and it could have been 3 inches over to there. And I'm like, oh, wow, this could be fun. So, me personally, I like to be in it because I like to get their personality type. I had somebody ask me once, so if somebody says to you, will you take somebody out? And they say to you, yes, I want to go see a property. Good. Somewhere in the conversation will come up, have you been pre-approved? And so I always like to say you get one on me, but then after that, there's I get somebody who's like, hey, we really like to go look at this house down the street. We'll do this tomorrow, whatever, we do this. Great. So somewhere between now and then, we're going to have a conversation. If you've seen, been pre-approved, been to a lender, yes, no, maybe. Okay, so we use Summit Funding a lot with Chad. I tell you why I like Chad, and again, if you have your own, that's great. But because I can call them and say, hey, I'm at this open house. Here's this person's information. I need somebody, either you or somebody in your office, give this person a call and do your magic with them. And let me know where we can kind of stand with them. They ask questions and do whatever. And sometimes they're like, Mike, you're wasting your time. This person doesn't even have a job. I'm like, oh, I didn't think to ask that one. Or, yeah, preliminary, yeah, you probably go show them. So then what I do is I'll go out and show them. And here's a reason, too, because there are buyers you're not going to want to be dealing with. And it happens. I'm like, there are people that just wear you out. You just like, God, I want to strangle them. And it's like, yeah, you just kind of like let them go. But at the same time, if you like, if I show them the house, especially probably be their house and all this, that's where, I hope the commission isn't listening, but that's where we'll start talking about buyer agency agreement, working with real estate agents. And I know people are going to say, you're supposed to be doing that way back then. Yep, get that, done that, but this is how I do it. It works well for me. But at that point, we're going to have a discussion about, hey, are you in a position where you want to seriously consider hiring me? What does that mean? How much do I owe you? What comes for you? You don't pay me anything. It comes from the seller. When they sell the house, blah, blah. Just like when we go sell your house, if they have it, you're going to pay a commission of 6%, maybe 7%, and then it gets split. And so that's kind of how that discussion goes with buyer agency agreement, work with real estate.
So let me ask you one more question because I want to really, juice it up for you. We both know realistically now, open houses, there's more than one person there, right? I mean, you're not just by yourself, and sometimes you have 2 or 3 people coming in at once, right?
Clients or agents?
Clients.
Yes.
So how do you, in a perfect world, when there's one person in and you get to have that one-on-one time and engage with them, it makes your life a lot easier. But when you got 2 or 3 people, how do you manipulate the crowd? How do you handle that many people? How do you make sure you don't miss out? Because yes, it's easy, like I said, to do it with just one person, but to be able to say like, oh, you don't like this house? Let me show you my computer here while there's 2 more people coming in. Like, how do you balance all that?
Yeah, there is no easy answer. So here's what I do. Again, when they come in, I'm trying to discern and really narrow down who are you. Because if you're just a nosy neighbor, I'd like to hear what you've got to say, absolutely. But if somebody else walks in, I'm dropping. And especially with the looky-loosies, and even somebody says they've been represented. If my goal is, like on the previous one, is to get one good lead, and I get somebody who walks in and says, yes, we're going to have this happen. You're going to buy. We want to make a decision like the next 60 days. We're just starting the process. I'm moving from New York. I haven't talked to anybody yet. Can you help us out? Then it's like, theirs was my goal for this open house, which is right there. So there may come a point where somebody else walks in, and I'll try and engage them, and I'll juggle them as best as I can. And how frustrating it would be. And I've been there where they sense that they could be a unrepresented buyer that you could get. And then this person went around to the back, and they know they're gone, and they didn't have a chance to get even to the information. And does it happen? It does, which is why I say, unlike some of the other people whose strategy is, I want to they define a successful open house by having 15 or 20 people walk through. See, I don't. I mean, if I had 15 or 20 people walk through an open house, to me it was a failure because I didn't probably get anybody's information and didn't do me any good. Because again, my time is valuable. And this is why I would say one other thing when you look at open houses, I'm lucky because I'm on a team and our team generates listings. So I can be a little bit more selective on where I'm getting, where I'm going. I kind of know the properties and I know this, I know that. But here's advice I will give you. I will turn down easily as many open houses because did I mention there's a lot of lazy agents out there? Because there are a lot of lazy agents and a lot of not really good agents. So if you put out there on websites, and I've seen this before, people say, hey, I'm looking to do an open house. Yes, that's all you do it. And I'm going to give you a word of advice and a word of caution. You'll get some agent calls and says, yes, hi, Mary, got this perfect open house, man. Thank you, because the seller's been on me for the last 4 months to do an open house, but I don't have time to do it. So can you please go out there? And you're like, oh, hey, this is going to be great. And I'm going out there. Here's the problem. Did you pick up the fact that she's too busy to really communicate and the sellers are not happy with her? So there's probably an issue there. Did you also pick up on the fact that it's been on for 4 months and how much interest rate from there? So here's what I do. When I first started, I thought, I'm going to be really good at $200,000, $250,000 open houses. Got a little intimidated, but I'm going to tell you what, there is no difference between a $250,000 house now and a $500,000 or $600,000 house. How do I know? Because again, my average sale price year to date, I just looked the other day, is $457,000. So I looked out and I had some really high price points, which really helps to the bottom line. But no different preparing for those than for a 2 or 200. And I will tell you this, I've gotten $1 million ones, and sometimes those people at $1 million, they think their house is like really special, and I'm like, that's why it's for sale. You're still high priced up here, but you don't want, my opinion, I don't want to get a house that's been on the market for a long period of time that has an issue. I really don't like a house that's conditioned. When you look at the pictures, it's in rough condition. You can look up the pictures and you can see that the carpet is this and that. People are not going to want to stay in there. They're not going to want to walk through and engage in it. So you want to go to places where you think you're going to get a crowd, where people are going to be interested, and at a price point, I would say up to maybe $800,000 and below, that where you can find the inventory and do it, move it.
I have my last question for you. Okay. As you know, when you go in, I always have like my go-to questions. What is your one go-to question that you can share with everybody? Like, this is something, if I, in a perfect world, no matter how many people are in there, if I can ask this question, or this question usually tells me more about them, what is like your hot, like, so for mine is, if you feel absolutely confident, comfortable, everything I say, that's my go-to question. But for you as an open house, like, what is your go-to question that you say to everybody? Like, hey, make sure you ask this question to every person that comes in here. What would that be to tell everybody?
Gosh, I don't know that I can narrow it down to one question, seriously, because it's a culmination of, again, it's me. I don't want to make a snap judgment. I want to get a feel for your personality. So the key things I'm looking for is, are you serious or not? And just because you're not serious does not mean you blow them off, because you got nothing else to do but talk to them anyway. You're trying to really be ready to focus, because somebody walks in, you need to know who you're going to drop and who you are going to pick up. But you're going to go to motivation, time frame, pre-approval, things like that. When you've got that, now I'm thinking in my mind, I need these 4 pieces of information. The easiest way is, what questions do you have? What's the lot size? Oh, heck, I don't know. Come over here. Let's look. Oh, yeah. See, it's got this. Oh, honey, look, it's got 4. Hey, can we get that sheet? Can you have something laying around? Man, this is too easy. The whole liberal thing, no, we email it to you. Oh, okay, great. I can send it to you right now. Give me your email address and your phone number so I can send a text. You know it's coming from me, and blah, blah, blah. And you have a home over here. What I'll do, if they have a home they want to, it's like, okay, how about this? I'll send you an RPR, which is a realtor property resource. Gives a home valuations on the MLS. You send that over to them in like 1 minute. So now you got their home, you got this, get this, get this. It just flows. So I don't go to, but you've got to get the motivation. You want to do it fairly quickly, because if you do get busy, you don't want to drop the wrong person. Anything? All right, guys. Thank you. I will see you next month on another topic. Thank you. Oh.